everybody, and welcome back to the Festival Foods Kitchen. I'm Lauren, and this is Emily. We're two of Festival's mealtime mentors, and today we're excited to share a trendy, fun dessert recipe.
That's right. We're making a peanut butter skillet cookie recipe, which is absolutely delicious, and it's great for just about anyone because it is allergen friendly, or it can be made allergen friendly.
Yes, so we're going to talk about the ingredients as we go, but let's just jump right in.
Let's do it. So what you really need is just a food processor or a blender because everything goes right in there, so it's really quick and easy to blend up and make the batter. So the first ingredient that we're using is kind of our secret ingredient. We're using some garbanzo beans.
So this is just 1 can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas, which is really nice. You just take the can, you drain, you rinse it, and then the entire can goes right into our dessert recipe, which I know kind of freaks people out a little bit, like beans in a dessert recipe, but we've shared a couple different recipes before, and the great thing about beans is, number one, they're better for us, so a little bit more fiber and protein. Number two, it takes away some of the flour and oil in a recipe. And then lastly, I personally think it yields a better dessert. It's really moist. It's just an awesome ingredient to use in desserts.
Definitely. So then the next ingredient we're using is some gluten-free rolled oats. You could also use regular rolled oats if you don't have to eat gluten-free, but we're making this allergen-friendly or gluten-friendly as well, gluten-free friendly as well. So we're using one of our favorites, Bob's Red Mill gluten-free oats, which are found in our natural and organic department.
So the whole goal with this recipe is that really anybody can eat it. So as Emily mentioned, this is going to be gluten-free. It's also going to be dairy-free. It's going to be nut-free. It's going to be egg-free. So really great for anybody.
So we mentioned that this is a peanut butter skillet cookie recipe, and you could use peanut butter, but we're using something called sun butter today, and it's a sunflower seed butter. It's free from the top 8 allergens, so something that makes this allergen friendly as well. But if you don't need to eat allergen friendly, you can also use your peanut butter.
Yes, and we're using a variety today that's a natural variety, which essentially just means that there's no added ingredients. So there are a couple different varieties of sun butter that you can find in our natural and organic department. So we're using the natural variety, and even if you are using a peanut butter, an almond butter, another type of nut butter, just looking for one that has minimal added ingredients, so minimal sodium and minimal sugar. If any added is just going to be a better for you option. And it's just going to taste a little bit better too, because we already have things in here to sweeten it up.
And a tip with that, if you are buying a natural peanut butter or nut butter, sometimes you'll find that it separates a little bit. So if you just stir it up and store it in your refrigerator upside down, it'll stay together. It's just because there aren't any of those binders, that added fat, that will keep those, what you'd find in a typical peanut butter.
Yes, that's a great tip, and it honestly works like a charm.
So the next ingredients are just kind of some of those flavor ingredients. We have some maple syrup, which you could also use honey, kind of for some natural sweetness. A little bit of vanilla, classic baking powder, some cinnamon, salt, and then the last ingredient is a little bit of milk. Today we're using some coconut milk just to keep it, again, the allergen-friendly theme, but you could also use whatever kind of milk you have on hand, soy milk, almond milk, regular milk.
It all works, which is great.
All right.
So the hardest part's done.
Just give this a blend until it's nice and smooth. Just gonna wipe down the sides here.
And it does take a little bit for it to blend up just because there are those oats in there. So like Emily's doing right now, perfect. Just do that once throughout just to kind of scrape the sides, get all those oats in there so they get ground up. Perfect.
That looks great. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this out so you can add our last ingredient.
So our final ingredient that we're gonna mix in just by hand are Enjoy Life dark chocolate chips. So we're using half a cup, and the reason that we're using the Enjoy Life brand is because Enjoy Life is another one of those great brands that are free from the top 8 major allergens. So it's kind of a dairy-free option as far as chocolate chips go.
And I use these on a regular basis, and I think they're just as good as, your typical
absolutely.
chocolate chip.
I especially like these dark chocolate ones. They're a very nice dark chocolate. All right, so I just kind of mix those in here. our batter is now going to go into our cast iron skillet, which I'm just going to spray with some cooking spray just to make sure it.
And if you don't have a cast iron skillet, you could also use a baking dish.
Yes. An 8 by 8 inch dish would work just fine. We're just trying to keep up with the trends here and do something a little bit different and cook it in this cast iron skillet. So I'm going to get the batter in our skillet, and then our final ingredient is just going to be sprinkling the top with a little bit extra chocolate chips, just for good measure, of course.
Of course, we could use a little bit more.
You can never have
too
many chocolate chips. Perfect.
Looks delicious.
So we're just going to sprinkle these on top. And then from here, we're just going to pop this in the oven. The oven has been preheating at 375. It's going to cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. And it's important to not overcook this so it doesn't get brown like a typical cookie would necessarily. So just make sure not to overcook it. Take it out after about 25 minutes. Stick a toothpick in, check it just to make sure. But it's delicious.
And if it is slightly undercooked, that's okay because there aren't any eggs in this recipe, so there isn't that food safety concern of your typical cookie dough batter. So this is a great option also if you are looking for, you know, some cookie dough to maybe eat, if that's your favorite part, which it was always my favorite part growing up.
Oh, who doesn't love cookie dough? So we have a little bit here. We sliced it up, kind of like a pizza.
Mm-hmm. And this is really on trend. If you're on social media, you may have seen the Pizookie trend, which is pizza cookie. And here we have our pizza cookie, which is great. Out of the oven, topped with some ice cream, especially when it gets nice and melty. Or you can just eat it on its own, which is what we're going to do right now.
Just take a spoon, dig right in. So let's give this a try. I just love how moist it is.
So good.
This is one of my new favorites, for sure.
Definitely.
Well, we hope you give this fun skillet recipe a try.
And for more recipes and resources from your mealtime mentors, visit bestfoods.com.